The Book of True Life, Teaching 58 of 366. The Master teaches, "My kingdom is for those who are pure of heart, and the men of little faith." Divine Revelations, Mexico, from 1866 to 1950. The Lord says, "This my son, through whose faculty I am delivering this message to you, does not pretend to pass himself off as Jesus, for he is one of the many spokesmen whom I have prepared during this time to allow my divine word to reach you. Prepare yourselves, so this voice may reach your heart and raise you to the true life. Truly, I say to you, my word is the bread of the Spirit, and for that reason will he who eats of it never hunger again." Be before me like children, for then I will tell you as in the second era, "Let the children come to me, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven." My kingdom is for the pure of heart, and now that you know this, you will not turn anyone away from my presence. Not the adult, who, as a sinner, comes before the Master to be purified by my word, nor the child, and though you might believe him to be lacking in understanding of the teachings of my work, he possesses a spirit exceedingly more developed than yours. During this time in which I manifest myself through the human faculty, I am explaining my past teachings to you. My spirit rests above all flesh and every spirit during this time, so that my divine presence will be felt by all, and you may behold the path that will lead towards eternity. If humanity has given my teachings of past times a distorted interpretation, you could make the same mistake again today. That is the reason why, although I come in spirit, I make my instructions physically audible for a short time, in order to make them comprehensible to you, since you did not know how to prepare yourselves by watching and praying. Realize that the goal of my spiritual doctrine is the perfection of your spirit, so he may attain the peace and happiness which every spirit embraces through the understanding of my truth. Before I gave you your cross, I have strengthened you and wiped away your tears. Blessed is he who has wept upon my lap, because he will feel that his pain has disappeared. Blessed is he who, by obeying my law, will feel joy in his spirit, for this will be the fruit of his merits. If you wish to follow me, always come before me with a pure heart. You do not need jewels or luxurious attire. I merely want your spirit and body to be clean, so you may carry me within you. My word is clear, and yet, in spite of that, you simply refuse to understand it on occasion. During the second era, I often spoke through parables and allegories, because that was the only way the men of that time could understand me, yet occasionally they still pretended to not understand me. However, fact is that men wish to touch the divine with their hands, and they recoil from the material renunciations and spiritualization, which are the means by which they may behold the light of my divinity. Attain spiritualization, be pure of heart, for then you will never be troubled at the banquet of the Father, and you will understand and feel everything he says to you. You will not feel unworthy, nor will you have the urge to leave. Therefore, he who leaves my table may only do so to go out and preach the truth of my teaching with his life and deeds. O disciples, I am in your heart. That is why Jesus died for you, to live forever in your heart. By listening to my word, your spirits will develop. Behold, through the deeds of my disciples shall I be recognized during this time. Pain has purified your body and spirit, so that in thought, through prayer, you may even transport yourselves to faraway regions, to fulfill your delicate mission of sowing peace and conveying light to your brethren. When your body ceases its daily struggle and goes to rest in bed, the spirit makes use of that time to free and occupy itself with missions assigned to it, with works of the Lord. However, if your heart, instead of resting from its concerns and vicissitudes, or elevating itself in prayer, surrenders to bitterness, the spirit will be too busy overcoming the weakness of the flesh, neglecting its other missions. With a lack of faith and spiritualization, you deprive yourselves of your virtues, instead of thinking that he who forsakes his obligations towards others and is only concerned for himself is egotistical towards his fellow men, and, therefore, does not have compassion for their spirits. Practice my teachings, so you may be strengthened, and when those who seek to deny and slander you come to your door, may you have serenity within your spirits and gentleness upon your lips. If you continue with this preparation, you will see that, with your prayer, the sorrow they may have concealed within their hearts will vanish, as proof that they were with my disciples. If, however, you attempt to defend my doctrine by exchanging blows and blasphemies, then you will experience defeat at the hands of the multitudes, and they will find reasons to prove that you cannot be my disciples because of your lack of love and compassion towards your fellow men. Do not allow the sanctuary I have built within your hearts to be destroyed by unworthy thoughts. Live with a watchful eye and pray, so the storms will not be your downfall. When you listen to the prophets of this time, whom you call seers, and who, in their visions, speak to you of dangers and predict afflictions, elevate your thoughts to me, to ask me for strength, to persevere, or for light to overcome the trials, imploring my compassion for all your brethren. It is time to pray. The homes that live in peace shall pray for the homes that have been destroyed. The widows that have found acquiescence and comfort shall, in thought, accompany those who live without direction or goal, benumbed by their suffering. Mothers, you who rejoice upon seeing yourself surrounded by your children, send your consolation to those who lost theirs in the war. It does not matter if your eyes will not get to see the result. Your faith shall be enough, and that you wish to share in the grief of your brethren, so I may bestow my peace, my consolation, my cares, my forgiveness, and the bread upon those you pray for. I have endowed you with gifts, so you may earn merits and thereby reach the promised land. I will always assist you in your preparation, so you may be strong and set out as good soldiers of this cause, when confusion is unleashed and peoples rise up against peoples and nations against nations. Today I say to you, blessed is the traveler who has followed the divine light for a long while now. O transient inhabitants of this world, you who are here today and do not know where your spirits will go tomorrow, truly I say to you, it is not death that awaits you, but the eternal life. For I have not ordained death for the spirit. However, I wish that, during the hour of my calling, you will be like the faithful virgins of my parable, awaiting the arrival of the chaste bridegroom with their lanterns lit, so that, when you hear my voice calling you, you will be able to leave behind the cup of bitterness you have drunk of in this world, and that no one will take away what you are about to obtain through so much suffering. Tired of weeping, the eyes of your body will shut, while the eyes of the spirit will open to the true life, upon crossing the threshold of eternity, where your Father awaits you with the reward he has promised you. How many who were dead to a life of grace have risen from the grave during this time as they listened to this word? How many who were weak have straightened themselves, full of strength? How many who were timid and desperate have gained courage and found peace? The multitudes I announced to you during the first days of this communication, the dead and the needy, of whom I said would arrive, are you yourselves. In your solitude and bitterness, you waited day after day for the moment I would bring you the good news of my arrival. Attracted by the rumors of my presence and miracles, you have arrived beneath the shade of the tree where I waited for you, and here you will become disciples of the Divine Master. I will remain with you for quite some time, so you may imprint my teachings within your spirit, and not fall into profanation or adultery. I wish that, when your lips are ready to speak of my doctrine, your hearts will, with deeds of love, confirm the word the Master taught you. Be careful not to hurt the hearts of your brethren or extinguish the light of their faith, for among these multitudes are my new disciples. Do not make them deviate from this path. Do not believe yourselves to be the only ones of whom I will avail myself during this time. You will be called the first, and they will be the last. They too will arrive tired of traveling and suffering, and they will say to me, "Father, exhausted I have come before you, and I wish I would have found you much sooner along my path, because I could have avoided much of my suffering and many mistakes." But I say to you, not a single leaf upon a tree moves without my will, and those who speak to me thus should know that even among my laborers there are those who say to me within their hearts, "How happy I would be if I were still free to enjoy all that the world offers me." This is someone who did not know how to make use of the trials, really lessons that this life offers you, nor was he able to grasp the meaning of my teaching. That is why he is weak, and in his weakness he leads himself into temptation. Who could hide any of his intentions or thoughts from me? Me, who dwells within the heart of each and every man. That is why you should not be surprised when I tell you that from among you will emerge those who attempt to persecute you and destroy all that I have created. Some of those who, today, say they are disciples and laborers of the Lord, tomorrow will rise against my doctrine and oppose those whom they called their brothers. That is why I always say, watch and pray, so you will not fall into temptation. May every one of you be satisfied with the gift and mission that have been entrusted to you, and may you not set out to the roads and countrysides unless the proper moment has been designated and the mission made known to you. I say this because there are some who are teaching others, and even those who have appointed themselves as leaders while lacking proper preparation. On the other hand, To those who do not believe they are fit to carry out the missions I entrust to them, I say, why do you think it impossible to fulfill what He, who knows what each of His children is capable of, has entrusted to you? How do you believe should my communication during this time be carried out? Not through the human spokesman? Some have doubted this form of my communication, seeing the spokesman as an impostor. However, I have even availed myself of those who doubted, calling and preparing them to carry out the exact task which they had doubts about, giving them proof of my truth. Many of them were among my best spokesmen, thanks to the faith and joy they worked with after their conversion. Upon realizing that divine words poured forth from their lips, they turned their eyes to me to bless my name. Ever since then, they act according to my will, and not according to theirs, because they realized that he who acts according to his own free will here on earth does it to exalt himself, and therefore withdraws from me. The Master says to you, today it is my word that guides, corrects, and instructs you. After 1950, it will be only your conscience. Relay my teaching in all its purity, and show my work in all its clarity. I have not called you to perish in this struggle. On the contrary, I want you to be triumphant like good soldiers. However, may this be a victory of the peace you have sown, of the health you have returned to the sick, and of the light you have ignited amidst this darkness. Laborers, you who have come before me to offer your work, I welcome you. You come from the fields I have entrusted to you, and you ask me, Divine Master, are my work and my struggle pleasing to you? And the Master answers, your deeds are not quite perfect, and you have not yet become my disciples. I see you as young children, whom I love very much, and I receive the fulfillment of your mission you offer me. Your spirits raise themselves up and are taking their first steps, making the flesh submissive and lending an ear to my new teachings during the present era of revelation. During the first era, you knew the name of Jehovah, and you beheld my manifestations in the bosom of the people of Israel, to whom you have always belonged. And I said to you, behold, this is the way, and the path that I spoke to you about was the law. Later, my word, made flesh in Jesus, spoke to you, and you were illuminated by my parables and precepts, and with them I said to you, all who comply by loving and forgiving their fellow men, travel upon the path of my law. And during this era, you once again find yourselves upon the path of your development, and you have with you the same divine spirit, teaching and guiding your footsteps. I have descended as a radiant light, and all who prepare themselves will be able to see me. Humanity has not yet set out during this time to fulfill my mandates, but I await her. Throughout all times I have cultivated the spirits, yet you still have not offered me fruits that are worthy of me. I have dictated perfect laws for all beings, but the spirits of man, true masterpieces of the Creator, have not perfected themselves. Even though I inspire and advise man unceasingly, he has not listened to his God and refuses to obey him. You have not made good use of the gifts I have granted you, and in return you only offer me pain. If there is suffering within you, it is because you have broken the law. You are endowed with strength, yet you have been weak. I want to let you know that you, from among all the creatures of this world, are my favorite beings, endowed with a spirit and a conscience. I have given you a free will, so you may choose the right path of your own volition, the path that leads to me. It is not the flowery path I offer you, but the path of prayer, penance, and struggle, and this is the path your conscience will guide you along. The time approaches when you will come to me in spirit. You live in the third era, in the sixth developmental stage, close to the threshold of the perfect life that awaits you. You wish to come to me and enjoy the peace that I have promised you since the first times? Yes, Master, because the cup that we drink of is bitter, and our journey is burdensome. Each day your work becomes more difficult, and you are confronted with the incomprehension of your fellow men. But my word, the healing balsam, alleviates your pain. That fountain of grace you have allowed to dry out is overflowing anew to give you strength. Keep in mind that the year 1950 draws near, and yet the people are not united. As of yet, the 12,000 spirits of each tribe are not prepared. But when that year finally arrives, and you do not present to me the number I have asked you for, who will be able to designate the chosen ones after that point? By chance, will you attempt to designate them and reveal their destiny? No, my people, only I record, with indelible letters, the mission that corresponds to every spirit. How much I desire to reveal my work in other nations as well. The time draws near when this communication must be concluded, and these lips will never more speak in this manner. I am he who speaks during this time, who cultivates and prepares the spirits, for there are no masters of the spirit here on earth. And just as these multitudes, who were small before, have multiplied today, so too do I wish for my disciples to reunite in other nations. Upon recognizing my perpetual struggle, you say to me, Master, how great your work is, how abundant your word, and how much love and power you infuse it with. The hearts are converted and the sick are healed, because they feel your presence. Listen to me until the end, so you may learn from me. In spirit have I manifested myself among all nations, just as it is written. The prophet said, during the time of wars and tribulations will the Holy Spirit descend to communicate with the people of the world. Mankind seeks me. She longs for my word, yet her anguish and confusion are so great that she is unable to find me, even though I am so close to her. In some cities, the churches have been destroyed, the books have been cast into the fire, faith itself has been opposed, and the sacred laws have been renounced. In some nations, even my name has been erased from the hearts of their inhabitants. Nevertheless, have I announced to you that the kingdom of heaven shall find a dwelling place in the hearts of men. Who could destroy the inner temple if you know how to build it within your very spirits? How great the struggle is that awaits you, my people. Soon the world will come to understand that the people of Israel, incarnated throughout various nations, have returned to earth, and I shall avail myself of them. The people will learn that you are not Israel's descendants by blood, but by the Spirit, and that, just in times past, you are witnesses to my return and revelations. You who represent me, you will convey my message to mankind. I have sent you to illuminate the earth, to preach righteousness, and to give testimony of the truth. You shall place the spirit above the soul and the flesh, and you will teach that it is your guide. That is when all materialism will fall, and the spirit will elevate itself once again, becoming my disciple. In this moment, you forget your own afflictions to think of those of others, because you know that grief has filled the cups of the inhabitants of other distant lands. That pain reaches even me, because what suffering could the child feel that the father does not feel as well? However, this pain actually purifies and illuminates man. It is a wake-up call towards justice, and it will motivate him to return to the right path. This pain alone will change his mind and allow him to recover the health and peace he had lost. My presence and my love accompany all my children during this hour of trial. Among those called during this time are the ones that have asked the Father for more time of freedom, which I have granted them. But when the time came for me to ask them for an accounting, I raised them this question: what have you done with the freedom you asked of me? And the only answer they could muster was, we have done our own will, and the fruit we have harvested is bitter indeed. These have returned to me tired, bitter, and disgusted with the fruits they have desired for so long, poisonous and deadly fruits. The Lord awaited them, for he knew they would have to return, and once they did return, I asked them if they wished to continue traveling along the path of earthly pleasure, or if, instead, they desired to carry the Master's cross of love and follow him. And with their hearts they responded that they will follow me to the very end. I say to all of you, pray, so you will have control over your body. While a large part of humanity currently suffers, because the law of violence still reigns among men and injustice prevails, I descend and appear among you in spirit, to nourish you, so you may regenerate yourselves, comprehend my divine teaching, and, from then on, be able to perform perfect deeds among your fellow men. Towards that end, I have planted my trees, the large and small congregations scattered throughout different cities, villages, and countrysides. Trees that offer their shade to the wanderer who travels along extensive roads and expansive deserts, as well as their fruits of life to those who hunger. Love these trees and cultivate them with your zeal. Don't lash out at them as if you were a whirlwind, simply because you behold that some of them are bare of leaves and others have grown old, for their branches will become new trees. Remember the day you received your first jade and ate the first fruit. I have regarded you as small children. As you begin to take your first steps as laborers, I initially entrust you with small fields, so you may learn how to sow. Those first fields are the hearts of your immediate family, your friends, and even your enemies. For every special case, I impart inspiration to you. Then, when a storm is approaching your fields, men will find you with a steeled spirit, and once the time to reap and harvest has come, with joy in your heart you shall take the gathered seed to the Father's granaries. The same seed which will, in the future, serve as your nourishment for eternity. For a long time now has the Master invited you to sow upon his fields, but some were deaf and dismissive towards the first call. But the Father keeps on waiting for them, because he knew that, upon the second call, they would arrive full of repentance, asking for his forgiveness. In order to believe and follow me, some asked me for proof, in the form of health and inner peace, which they could not find on earth. And when they were healed and saw that peace reigns in their homes and lives, they said to me, "It is you, Lord." Blessed is he who recognizes the works I manifest along his path at any given moment, because he brings his Father joy. Woe to him who doubts or distrusts, because he feels alone, lost and weak. Listen, disciples. One day, during the second era, Jesus sailed out to sea on a boat, accompanied by his disciples. The waters were calm, and the Master's companions were enthralled by his words. Thereafter, Jesus went to sleep, but soon the waters began to foam and a storm was drawing near. In just a few moments, the boat became a toy for the waves to play with, and the hearts of the disciples were seized by fear, even to the point where they woke the Master from his slumber with distressed voices, saying to him, "Master, save us, otherwise we will perish." To which Jesus, gazing at them gently, extended his hand towards the waves, and they were instantly pacified. He turned to his disciples and reproached their doubt thusly, "Oh, you men of little faith." Sometimes I behold you like this as well, weak in faith. Often it suffices for the bread upon your table to become scarce, or the gates of employment to momentarily close, and already doubt will take hold of you, and you forget you are sailing this boat together with Jesus, who tells you, "Oh, you men of little faith." When I shower you with gifts of grace, you believe in me, but when I test you, you doubt. Do not believe I am the one who sends you this suffering, for it is not I that has created it. It is a seed that was born within the hearts of men, of which I avail myself, so his fruit may awaken and illuminate him. For I am the one who brings forth light from the very darkness. How many there are who, during the pain of their trials, have called me an imperfect and unjust God, without realizing that the suffering they are reaping was sowed by themselves, and only through this suffering will they be cleansed and freed of their burden. When will humanity eradicate suffering? When will her wars and sins finally cease? My voice, like a bell, speaks to all spirits during this time. Wake up, arise, heed your conscience, so you may travel the path of the law with acquiescence and meekness. You are promised a time of peace and grace, in which pain and tears will disappear, but first you will have to struggle and persevere in righteousness. Once all men set out to live this ideal, then will the confusion of Babel, which has prevailed to this very day, disappear, and in its stead will all peoples of the earth embrace one another as brothers. My peace be with you.